Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Marta. I'm here with the Musical Moments with Marta channel, and this is a series called Musical Solutions, where I discuss many different works for violin orchestra, violin piano, for most part, concertos, different works such as solo pieces. I've done Paganini caprices as well as some Bach. So here we are continuing with the Vivaldi seasons. This is the summer, and we're going to start with the first movement. If you like this channel and you find it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And I appreciate you sharing these videos with those people you know, students, colleagues that would appreciate studying these works. So here's the first movement of Summer by Antonio Vivaldi. As you may be aware, the Vivaldi four seasons are based on poems, and so here we have a story that begins with the words "laziness from the heat" is the title of the first section. So Vivaldi does kind of interesting things here to express that laziness. So this will be slow. It's a slow section in piano. The whole concerto is in G minor, so we have a G minor. Let me tune my violin. Okay, so the first movement, beginning measure 1, Allegro, ma non molto, and we are here lazy with the heat. So we have to express that with the music by playing nice and slow and dolce. So I personally hook those on one bow. You can play them separately. The original bowing here is separate, and I am using the edition by Christopher Hogwood, and that is Bärenreiter edition from 2000. So I'll put the link below this video with the score of this piece, the violin part of this piece. Okay, so beginning is two slow eighth notes. I like to make a decrescendo, diminuendo, however you want to call it, on the second note, and then we go up bow, and we're in third position. Then we're first position, 2, 3, 1. Nice little fermata here, and here I go up on the A string, which is quite common in this section, and often this section is played a bit faster. Otherwise the sound will suffer if we try to make it too slow. Plus, if you're using, let's say, Baroque bow, which I am not, but I do have one. I have a recording actually on my channel that I work through 4/15 tuning with the Baroque bow and a Baroque violin. So if you want to check it out, you're welcome to. So here is measure 12. So I start in fifth position with the fourth finger. Then I shift down to third, and then we have that augmented step. So F sharp, E flat, and then I slide second finger, so we end up in second position. So then this next part will be easy in second position. One. And second position, or if you want, you can end it third position. I put a little fermata on there so that the next part that's coming is Allegro, solo e forte, and this is the Cuckoo. bird being imitated here. So tutto sopra il canto. So we're singing here, it's the bird, cuckoo bird. So it's going to be nice and crisp. We want to listen to the bottom voice. So that's the cuckoo bird. Okay, but keeping the right hand nice and economical, very on the string, but some people may play it off the. I don't particularly like being off the string there, unless the bow wants to bounce on its own. But here it's not really necessary. I'm just listening for that bottom voice, which is on the D string. And I like to make a little crescendo. Each time the phrase goes up a step, you could intensify the dynamic a little bit and make a little crescendo. So the challenging part is, of course, being easy here with the right hand and only accenting this little voice on the bottom, which is the cuckoo bird effect, and keeping the repeated notes on top nice and light. And the other thing is the left hand is shifting with each phrase. It goes up a step. So we start with the G, then we have the A in measure 34, then measure 36 we have B flat. So you can outline your left hand with that octave, and that makes the middle note much easier to find rather than trying to do everything independently. So 36 would be a B flat. You can practice the double stops as well. Then we go up again. So there is that shift going on with the left hand, making sure that you know how far you're going, if it's a whole step or a half step. So from B flat in 36 we go to C natural. In 37 we go to C natural in the middle of the bar. And finally a D, measure 39. So be very mindful of those octaves. And then what I do is measure 40, I come down to a piano. So we have done, I come down to like a subito piano. I like that effect there because the phrase has gone up to as far as it's going to go in measure 39, which is that D and F sharp. And then in measure 40, it comes back down to, it has a new pattern. It doesn't have the octave anymore. It's based on a sixth, and then fifth, sixth and fifth, interval of a sixth and the fifth for the next few measures. In measure 40, I come down to a piano so that we can start building again. And this time I'm really going to be built to a crescendo, which I peak at measure 45. So let's try measure 40. And this is challenging because you have the fifth in measure 41, so you have to play E flat and B flat with the same finger. So I would suggest that you make sure that your finger is flat. Don't try to do it with your finger upright, with your fingertip. Make sure it's flat on E flat. Even with that being flat, it's still not so easy to play it in tune. You can always come back and try to tune a violin again. So it takes some time to tune that up. So that's measure 41 when we're dealing with the fifth, E flat, and it's actually an E flat major chord. So E flat, G, and B flat. So I would recommend practicing these fifth and then the third. This reminds me a little bit of the Bach prelude in E major. This is not E major, but there's a lot of these kind of string crossing and playing with the same finger on two strings. So it's not the easiest passage. 42 is then goes to the next chord, which is now E flat and C. Then the E, F. Okay, so we have, so that first finger gets a workout from 42, E, F. Okay, so starting in 40, one more time. E flat. Here he doesn't wait very long, he changes to E natural. So from C minor, which is at 42, it's a C minor chord at first. We have E flat, C, and G. So C, if you put it in order, it's C, E flat, G. And then he goes to E natural halfway through the bar. So we have that C major. So if you were to put it in order, in thirds, we have C, C, E, G, C, E, G. So it's very important, especially in Baroque music, to look for the harmonies, because this is really harmony. It's hardly a melody, right? Okay, and then, so that's 42. Then we have to shift up again to another fifth. So F major. Then goes up to a D, F sharp. Okay, so measure 42 and measure 44 are kind of tricky because you are not only, you're playing two different chords in that measure, not just one. So we're going from, in 42 we're going from C minor to C major halfway through the bar, and in measure 44 we're going from D minor to D major through the bar, halfway through the bar. And then we arrive on G minor at 45. So we have E flat. So we are now in, we're now in fifth position. Now we're coming down. So this is the loudest part that I think of it as the peak right there. So I'm going down to fourth position. So I would practice this as double stops as well, wherever possible. Then we go down to, we extend back the first finger to the E flat in measure 46. Again, practice double stops. So we have gone back another position, so we're now in third position in measure 47. Down again, first finger. And I like to decrease the dynamic here all the way to measure, end of measure 48. Measure 49 is going to be subito forte because tutti comes in, the whole orchestra comes in. So between 45 and 48, I start forte and then come down to piano at the end of 48. So it's a long line. So something like that. And then subito forte at 49. Slow down a little bit at the end of that part, which not everybody does. Sometimes they do it very abruptly. I do a little bit of something. I don't want it to be like completely abrupt subito piano. So we're back to the beginning. Nice and sweet, short section. Now we are into the bird calls again. So this is turtle dove. So we're now at letter C in my score, measure 59. I start up bow there. You can probably start down bow. Whatever works out well. It's not really that important. But here I would do this up. And then we have the cello kind of answer you with a little quirky little bird call. Nice little Baroque appoggiatura. We call it appoggiatura when it has that suspended note, that note that's not part of the chord on the strong beat. So instead of that would be the easiest way to do it, but no, he goes. That's what the bird does, right? So I do that 4 notes up, then I do an echo. You can do slide into a harmonic or keep it in position, but this is a nice little echo effect, and then the orchestra has triplets there for 1 measure. Then we come back in measure 72. So there's another bird here, the goldfinch. You could start with the first finger. I start with the second on the D. So this is kind of improvisatory, but you want to keep the overall beat there, but you can be a little flexible because it is a bird call, so we want to imitate kind of irregularity of it a little bit. Tira, 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 tira. So, and I do a little swell in the middle of measure, between measure 75 and 76, I make a little crescendo. And I retake at letter D, and then we're now into little wind. This is the south wind. So there are various ways of interpreting this or creating dynamics. I do an echo. So I do 2 measures mezzo forte or so, and then I do 2 measures piano. Then I do another 2 measures mezzo forte, and then another, let's see. No, then starting measure 82, I do mezzo forte for 1 measure and echo another measure. Then another mezzo forte, mezzo piano in measure 84, and then another echo, very soft, the second one. So you could do it as 1 measure, forte, piano, or you could do 2 measures forte and 2 measures piano. Although in this score, it does actually have it printed as an echo in measure 83, and then 85, and then 87, and then 89. So those are all little echoes, every other measure. So let me demonstrate that. This measure 78, starting with this gentle south wind. Less, more, less. Okay, so we have this little section of the warm winds. And then the next part is vento borea, which is the north wind. And we're gonna go a little crazy here. So we have 30 seconds. They're all separate. I would be in 3rd position by that time. And you could practice it slur. So we have these 4 measures that have scale-like patterns, and then I would practice it with different rhythms if you find it challenging, like then you can go, So be sure that you do those rhythms very diligently, not too fast, between the held note and then the quick notes. Because the point is for the quick notes to go all the way to that next beat. So if you have, don't go too fast. Wait. Or you can go, but slurred is better. You can do all sorts of different things. You can slur it, you can hook it, like you can go. Just make sure that your waiting period is long enough so that you're ready for the next 2 notes. Or if you have 4 notes quickly, then the 4 notes, you have to be ready for those. Okay, so then going to measure 94, then we have a fun section. I put a slur there. I am kind of surprised that in this score there isn't a slur on the first 2:30 seconds, because how else would one do it? You don't want to be going down, up, down, up. So I slur the first 2 in measure 94. Then I do echo. Then I gotta regroup my left hand. I gotta go to second position. So that's first finger. Then I'm gonna shift up to third. But you're gonna make sure you know what kind of an interval you're playing. So in measure 102, I would practice these as double stops. And whenever you can, practice them as double stops, because that will help your harmonic ear and intonation. So then 104, I shift up to third position and then stay there. Go down to second in measure 106. Let's see. Yes, I don't have it written down, but just to make sure. So measure 106, I go back down to second position. So that's first finger on a G, down to first position. And I'm still going up, down, up, down, up, down. Because I don't know, there are people who play it the other way. And if you want the bow to bounce more, that would work. If I go like, but if I want to go on the string, it's better to start up bow when you're crossing from E string to A string, from higher to lower. So and then we're back to the beginning, back to the heat, laziness of the heat. Second position. Now we have a section at letter E, which is supposed to be the complaining of the villager, and it is very plaintive. It has a lot of minor kind of feeling to it, and it's also quite rubato, so you can take some time. But of course, first learn it exactly how the time goes, but you can push and pull a little bit, because in here you're only playing with a cellist. So you have some room for a little bit of rubato. So I like that minor D flat. So at 124, I want to make sure I'm down bow, because it's kind of an arrival point there. So let it flow down. Don't force the sound through that measure. In measure 127, I would play a little decrescendo each time. And maybe a decrescendo overall. So this would be like the lowest point right there. So I would, for 6 measures between 127 137 and 133 until 133. It's a decrescendo. Now it starts soft, and now we're going to start growing again. So I stay on the A string here. So I would start in third position at 133, slide up, first finger to E flat. So we go up to fourth position on the E flat. So you can have that A flat on the A string. Down to E, second finger, and we're back to third position now. Okay, so some of the bowings may be slightly different in your score, but I am hooking measure 134 to 135. I'm connecting that on one bow. Then the D is down bow. I slur that in again and again until the D flat in measure 139. And then this is a very beautiful appoggiatura here again. So it's a suspended note that is being emphasized. So it's beautiful. Sorry. E flat, F sharp. So here there are options to bow differently. 145, I do 4 note, and I do first finger, and then I extend back to first finger on the G, and then another first finger to the F sharp. Kind of a crawly thing. And then to third position. Sometimes I add little slides just because it's supposed to be complaining. So I like that effect of kind of sliding around a little bit. I think that adds to the color of this plaintive section that's very emotional, right? Kind of up and down. So we're kind of hesitating here because the next part, 153, traditionally we pick up the tempo. So that's 153. And then we're back to the winds, right? So this reminds me of the section that we had in measure 94, right? The same bowings, different key, but the same bowing. So we're going to slur first 2 notes in measure 155 and then stay up, down, up. Echo. And I like to sometimes emphasize ba, 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 dum, 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 because that's what the orchestra is doing. So it's nice to kind of play along with them, get excited about those little pickups. So don't just play it like it's boring, and get engaged with the orchestra. I had to slur that one, which I did not do earlier because it wasn't needed. But on 162, we're going to have to slur the last 30 seconds in order for us to come out down bow at 163. So then 163, I slur 2 notes at a time. So a little bit of accent is, I think, is good. Let's see, this would be third position. Third position in measure 167. Down. Oops. So that the last four measures have that scale. Same scale 4 times, right? Just make sure that your arm is nice and high, not too high, but high enough that it can be kind of between the G and D strings. So you have an ease of movement as you're crossing. And then I take just a split second time. It's more like a pause before the last note than a ritenuto. Poco, 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 poco ritenuto. Just a little bit of a break. So that's the first movement of Vivaldi, and I will be putting other videos above here that you can check out. But this is the first movement of the Vivaldi Summer. And please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me on my channel as much as you can and share my videos. I really appreciate that. And I will see you in the next video.